Ever traded a goat for groceries? No? Well, lucky you, because our ancestors did, and it was as awkward as it sounds. Welcome to Smart Money Seeds, where we unpack how money actually works without putting you to sleep. Today, we're talking about the evolution of money, from ancient bartering to Bitcoin, and why it still shapes the way you buy that overpriced coffee every morning. Here's the thing. Money isn't just paper, metal, or digital numbers. It's a story, a shared illusion we all agree to believe in. Understanding how money evolved helps you see why financial systems work the way they do, and how to use that knowledge to your advantage. Because the truth is, money has changed more in the last 100 years than in the previous 5,000. We went from trading cows to swiping cards to tapping phones and now typing cryptographic codes. And whether you're saving, investing, or paying rent, your daily life depends on systems built on centuries of trial, error, and some really questionable economic ideas. So let's rewind the tape. 1. The age of barter, aka I'll trade you this chicken for that rug. Before money, there was bartering. You had rice, I had cloth, and we'd negotiate, usually badly. The problem? The double coincidence of wants. I might want your rug, but you might not want my rice. And honestly, no one wants to carry 50 chickens to the market every week. So, humans invented something better: commodity money. Things everyone valued: salt, gold, silver, even giant stone wheels in Micronesia. Imagine paying rent with the rock the size of a Honda. 2. Metal money and the birth of coins. Around 600 BCE, the Kingdom of Lydia, modern-day Turkey, decided to make things official. They started stamping gold and silver coins with the king's face. This did two things. It standardized value, no more arguing about how much your sheep was worth, and it built trust. If the king's face was on it, it had value. Boom! The first real currency system was born. 3. Paper money. When IOU became I'll totally pay you back. Fast forward to China, 7th century. Carrying metal coins everywhere was heavy and inconvenient, so merchants began using paper receipts backed by gold or silver. This evolved into official government-issued paper money under the Sung dynasty, a revolutionary concept at the time. Europe caught on centuries later, and suddenly the world's economies could expand without dragging gold around. Banks started issuing notes that represented deposits, a system that eventually became fractional reserve banking, where banks lend more money than they actually hold. Risky? Sure, but it fueled modern capitalism. 4. The gold standard. Money gets serious and complicated. By the 1800s, nations tied their currencies to gold. This was called the gold standard, and it basically said every dollar is backed by a fixed amount of gold. It brought stability, but also handcuffed governments during recessions. Then came the Great Depression. People panicked, banks collapsed, and everyone wanted gold back at once. The system cracked. Bretton Woods, a new world order, and the dollar reigns supreme. After World War II, leaders gathered in Bretton Woods, New Hampshire. They created a new system: fixed exchange rates. Currencies were pegged to the U.S. dollar. Dollar to gold. Only the U.S. dollar was directly convertible to gold at $35 an ounce. This made the dollar the world's reserve currency and brought unprecedented stability for a few decades. This presents a new problem: too many dollars, not enough gold. By the late 1960s, The U.S. was spending huge amounts on the Vietnam War and Great Society programs. Dollars were flowing out to other countries, but gold reserves weren't growing. Foreign governments started doubting whether the U.S. could really exchange every dollar for gold. Countries like France and Switzerland began demanding gold for their dollar holdings.
We have today
This put
taken
massive
decisive
pressure on
action.
U.S. gold reserves. They were dropping fast. To stop the drain, President Richard Nixon announced that the U.S. would suspend the dollar's convertibility to gold, meaning foreign governments could no longer trade dollars for gold. This was intended to be temporary, but it became permanent. The world's currencies started floating freely, their values determined by supply and demand in global markets, not by gold. 5. Digital money, the invisible revolution. Enter the credit card, then online banking, then mobile payments. Now, most money doesn't even exist physically. Over 90% of the world's money is just numbers in databases. If aliens hacked the world's banking servers, we'd all be broke, instantly. Then came cryptocurrency, Bitcoin and friends. Crypto took the idea of digital money and removed the middleman. No banks, no governments, just decentralized trust powered by math. Whether you love it or hate it, crypto forced us to ask, what even is money? Okay, history class over. Here's what this evolution actually means for you. 1. Money is a tool, not a goal. Once you see it's just a system humans made up, you stop chasing it blindly. The goal isn't to hoard money, it's to use it to create freedom and security. 2. Trust is the real currency. Every financial system, from gold coins to crypto, runs on trust in governments, banks, or code. Before investing, saving, or borrowing, ask, who am I trusting with my money and why? Number 3, diversify like a time traveler. Don't bet everything on one kind of money. A mix of traditional, cash, savings, bonds, and modern ETFs and digital assets gives you resilience no matter where the financial system evolves next. 4. Inflation is a feature, not a bug. Paper money loses value over time by design. That's why investing matters. It's how you stay ahead of inflation instead of watching your savings quietly shrink. 5. Learn how systems actually work. The biggest advantage isn't timing the market, it's understanding the game. You don't need to be an economist. Just knowing how money flows, how banks profit, and how debt cycles work puts you ahead of 90% of people. So, from bartering cows to buying crypto, money has always been about one thing: shared trust. It's evolved from objects to symbols to pure information, and that evolution isn't slowing down. The next version of money, whether it's digital dollars, central bank currencies, or something powered by AI, will still rely on the same old rule. We believe it has value, so it does. If you understand that, you can adapt to any system that comes next. So keep learning, keep questioning, and remember, you don't need to chase every new financial trend. Just grow smarter roots. If this video helped you see money in a new way, tap like, hit subscribe, and share it with someone who still thinks gold coins are the answer. Because financial wisdom grows best when it's shared.